Dr Sipho Sithole has returned to the US. It's a country where he lived in for 34 years as a young student at Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, and this time round as a lecturer at Howard University. He is working at the Department of World Languages, teaching IsiZulu and culture at large. So he's currently back in South Africa with a group of students from Howard University and Harvard University to experience the culture and also visit KwaZulu-Natal. And we're joined in studio this morning by Opuso-Jama, a Harvard master's student, and Sinea Best, who majors in sociology at Howard University. And then obviously Dr Sipho, who's back in studio with us, cultural anthropologist. A very good morning to all three of you again, and thanks for joining us. Prof, welcome back.
We don't speak English.
Okay, yeah. So I should say sawubona ninjani.
Yebo, siyaphila wena unjani.
Ngikhona. Okay, great. So it seems like things have stuck.
Yes.
What has this experience meant for you? The cultural exchange that you've undergone, and how have you forever been changed?
Maybe let me just start to quickly say that they've been here for 6 weeks now.
Okay.
They were attending a semester.
Yes.
Because as you know, in the US, in May, that's the end of the spring semester, and then the academic year then starts in August.
Yes.
Which is the fall semester. In between, they've got what is called a summer semester. So students do take the opportunity to try and fast-track their studies. So they are taking IsiZulu language and culture in the US. As you said, EB is at Harvard and Sinea is at Howard. So for them to come here was to contextualize the language and the culture that they learn or hear about in the classroom. And now they are here, and maybe, which was your question then, what was the experience moving from the classroom in the US and coming and experience the communities that speak the language? Yeah.
No, absolutely. Who wants to start?
I think I'll go.
Okay.
I think I want to start by saying that I never imagined that there would be such detailed care here in South Africa. I find that along my journey with learning IsiZulu, we are met with people who really want to see us succeed and really want to see that see us learn the language, and that gives me all the more confidence, honestly. I think that the people here are vibrant, and I think that they are rich in history, and that makes me inspired, and I want to, I plan to come back. I plan to be here.
And what about you, Evie?
So learning Zulu in the context of South Africa has just been like very eye-opening, and honestly has deepened my understanding and appreciation for like everything Zulu. We've like been immersed with the culture and everything. And it's just wonderful like getting to like learn from the people themselves and like be in their space and actually like live like them. And it just makes you like love the language more, like when you're like in it and you see them conversing naturally, and like you pick up on stuff that like you wouldn't have picked up on if you're in class like in the United States.
How did you initially come to choose IsiZulu as your language and culture of choice? But also just as we look at how it's portrayed, beyond our borders, what are some of the myths that have also been dispelled as a result by being here?
So I guess for me, it wasn't as random, honestly, as it happens for most people. I was in the International Baccalaureate program back in America during my high school career, and with a course we had called History of Americas, we studied 3 different countries, and one of them was South Africa. And I remember being so just I really admired their struggle for apartheid. I remember specifically the movie Cry Freedom really, really changed me. And just to know that we also in America are going through very similar things, and just to look and see the struggle being represented in different places and see how they managed to overcome that. That was so inspiring. So when I got to Howard, Zulu class was open, and I was like, this is perfect. So that's why I took it.
All right, and for you, Evie?
Yeah, mine was also intentional. So I grew up in Eswatini, and I went to class with like South Africans, and I was always just like admiring their language. So when I was given the opportunity at Harvard to learn IsiZulu, like I just took it. I was like, I'm gonna learn this. I want to like understand like what my friends were saying and understand more of the culture in South Africa, because I've always loved South Africa so much. My family, we've been to Durban a couple of times. I've just had like great memories of South Africa, and honestly, like it's proven me right. Like Zulu's amazing, South Africa's amazing, the culture is great. Yeah.
How did you reconnect with your own inner self? If you're just also looking at what South Africa on the continent represents as well, what agency was restored within you?
Well, we actually, we visited a couple people here, and one thing that I remember him saying was that traveling will help you learn about yourself.
Yes.
And that is something that I've definitely realized. I think just even with the, I know that I'm always like a caring person and a person who, you know, I believe in the unification of people of all of the diaspora. And so just being able to see that on ground here in South Africa was life-changing. And it also, I think South Africa has taught me kindness as well. Like to see the way that they care for each other and care for me, and they don't even know me. I think that has taught me that kindness goes a long way, and it's very important, especially if we want to unify, you know?
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. Like, I think community is like one big thing that I've really like taken away with me. Another thing is just seeing like how like women are celebrated here. Like the purity is something that's not like over sexualized. Like they can celebrate their culture without feeling like they're going to be like sexualized or anything. They can just embrace it. Like we got to see and participate in the Mhlanga dance in KwaZulu-Natal, and it was just like such a blessing. Like, you know, us girls like just celebrating who we are and being proud of who we are without like having to compromise anything and just feeling free. Yeah.
Dr. Sipho, how would you have conducted your classes, and how would you have been intentional about exposing them to, you know, the different aspects of the culture and of IsiZulu and South Africa at large?
Yeah. Well, again, was to also deal with stereotypes.
Absolutely.
And perceptions about what people think Africa is, South Africa may be, or Zulus are, to say actually, if you look at the history, because we had to contextualize within the historical triumphs of the Zulu kingdom, and the fact that after it had been crushed, after the triumph in 1879 on the 22nd of January, and then defeated by the British on the 4th of July, which also coincides with their independence, to say this is the language and the people who were meant to have been destroyed, that wouldn't be talking about the Zulu kingdom today, but it has remained. And some people would say it is the second, as a brand, second to Coca-Cola. But also to say how we have instilled pride and identity amongst the people that should not have been around by now because of how intentional the colonialists were. Remember that this kingdom is built over only 12 years by King Shaka. 1816, he builds the Zulu nation. 1828, he dies, assassinated by his brothers. But look how this legacy has lived. It actually then talks to them to say, you may be in the minority in the US, but if you keep on being intentional about the struggle to survive against all odds and pushing your culture and your identity, you will still be there regardless, whether there's a Trump tomorrow or Trump, there's no Trump. You have to fight for your own presence and you must be heard. And your culture and the language is sacrosanct. And never, you must always remain rooted to your own culture and tradition, whatever it is, you know. And I think that is how we have been trying to put that. And then taking them to the sites of wars of resistance, whether it was the Bambata Rebellion, the Battle of Isandlwana, and taking them to the Valley of the Kings, where the kings are buried, and also finally, I mean, going to the palace, King Dingane, who fought with the Boers in 1838, showing them to how the palace looked like, because it's been reconstructed, taking them to the palace of King Cetshwayo, who actually defeated the British, the palace of Ondini. And I think we've been very clear about what we are trying to teach, that contextualize the language and understand it, and that's where we are now today.
I just want to get your reaction to what transpired in America, in Pennsylvania overnight. I mean, Trump also up for re-election. Perhaps your thoughts on that as we conclude.
I think what's going on as far as the elections right now is a very scary, scary thing for Americans. I think because on one end we have a candidate who many see is unfit just because of you know, just some things showing age. I also believe that there is a little bit of friction going on between the Democratic Party and the people who they want to vote for them, just especially because of some of the, you know, the conflict going on in Palestine right now. But then on the other hand, we have the conservative, like right-wing party who is they're pushing this Project 2025 agenda, which is something that people definitely do need to wake up and read about, because this is definitely a threat to our livelihood as far as like our civil workers in America. This is a threat to our Department of Education, so our children will be affected, as well as women, as well as our abortion rights, just things like that. So all I can do is, you know, encourage people to vote, encourage people to use their democracy and vote, because this is scary, very scary.
Yeah.
Time is not on our side. I have to leave it. The EB parting word just as we
I think
conclude.
they
I'm
want to
just
sing.
going to piggyback with what Sinsanea said. Like, the youth have to take any agency and vote. Yes.
All right, thank you to all
Thank
three of you
you.
for joining us and for sharing your story. Welcome to South Africa. May you take all of this and a share of that kindness paid forward from here into. We'll leave that conversation there.